evening, all. Ira Epstein with your metal market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for the evening of Monday, the 22nd of August, 2022, just after 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Well, what a day, huh? The stock market took it on the chin, but we expected that if you were listening to my different videos, and I said, be careful in them as you approach the 200-day with the upper Bollinger Band, 200-day moving average of close. It's often a very bad sign. The market's in a zone there where it corrects. That's what you're getting. I didn't say that you're crashing. I said you're correcting. As you can see in the metals, gold holding the 1748, silver back under $19, and copper acting good. China's got its hands full, and copper benefits from it. Why? In my mind, there is zero chance that President Xi is going to allow the property market there to become his undoing. He's created a situation between COVID, property values falling, the way that the money's put in for developers to take a mortgage, then they start building a property. If they don't have the money, the mortgagee, if you will, he has to keep paying while the property's not being built. That isn't going to continue on. $29 billion today thrown that way. That's a drop in the bucket. There could be a lot more coming with that. And the lowering of both a 5-year and 1-year mortgage notes. So you're taking matters there down. There's still the problem for President Xi of his policy on COVID. You know, to me, fall is right around the corner, and with fall comes, are we going to get more COVID cases? We haven't heard too much. You know, the flu's around the corner. That we're all being told to go get your flu shot, but that's there. As a market technician, this is a rough week. Why? Because you have the giant in the room, the elephant, if you will, Fed Chair Powell. And he's going to come out Friday morning, and it's got to be guns blazing in a manner that is very much to the point that he's there to beat inflation. Now, his job is to not tip the economy into a massive recession, but his job, and he'll say it, I think, in some manner, is with unemployment running at 3.5%, 3.6%, 3.5%, they can afford to go over 4%. It's not going to shake up the earth. What else? He's not, in fact, he's probably smiling that housing numbers and rents, we're starting to see pressures on those. And that has to do with the raising of rates, the slowing down of the economy. So what is the Fed's goal? It is, in plain English, to slow the economy down. They'll do it via interest rates, the runoff of the balance sheet. That's all coming about in September. JP Morgan's already saying that no, they think there'll be one more 75 basis point hike probably in September, but that's it for those large of hikes. Could be right, hard to know. We'll see. Nobody's right until inflation drops. And inflation's going to not drop like a rock. It's going to drop. And then it'll hit what we call a sticky point. And it's from that sticky point that the real battle again begins. How do you take it from that number? It could be 4%, 5, 6% to get it down to the trajectory towards the 2%. That's going to be the key. The Fed doesn't have to wait for 2%. Once it feels that the trajectory is locked in, it'll back off on what it's doing. Does anyone know how long interest rate hikes are going to go in 2023? Nobody. Everybody's a guess. So what does it mean for the metals? Well, it depends what you look at the dollar. The dollar's trading near 109. Look at the euro, 99.60. When you're priced in dollars, that makes a headwind for the gold market because it's more expensive. Bonds and notes, well, if you're watching the 10-year, you're back up into the 3+ range. Same in the 2, marching right with it there. Energy markets, what happens there? And I realize we're talking metals, but it all comes into play. This, towards the end of this month, is when we're supposed to hear something on the U.S. Are they going to go in with the treaty for Iran? You can imagine that all of Europe wants the United States to do it. Is it the smart thing to do? From one perspective, it helps Europe tremendously. They'll get Iranian oil, and it gets them to a degree controlling their inflation. The bad news is it puts us in bed with Iran. They're just going to cheat. They're not going to stop on the getting a weapon of mass destruction. It's nonsense when the U.S. says we'll never allow them, and Israel says we'll never allow them. Once they get that weapon, they'll do what Putin did. I'll raise my finger. Do you dare come near Russia? And that's why NATO can't go into the Ukraine. They don't want that full-fledged war that can blow up. What happens with Iran? I wouldn't trust Iran. The government, that's for sure. All right, a weekly chart of gold. So we're coming back down here. We've fallen pretty hard from the 1985 that we made at the beginning of the year back down to 1734. Where's the inflation story? There is none on this chart. When we take a look at the recent break, it's been a hard recent break, and it's been almost vertical. Every single day, if you look at it, you got a lower and low in here. It's very hard to trade a market when it does that. You don't get the bouncing opportunity. Now, it is a Monday. We had monstrous breaks today across the board in most of the financial markets, the currency markets, the metals. Not all of them, but most. And with that, you can get a bounce on a Tuesday. You know, Tuesday reversals are very common. Where's the resistance? Back up at the 1788 level. That is $40 higher. It's not that far away, but it is a $40 move. And why am I saying this? Look at the Bollinger Band. What are the odds of staying under a Bollinger Band or over it? 5% of the time. Therefore, when you make a run to it and you hit it for the first time and you have your slow stochastics and they are not embedded, take my enhanced Bollinger Band course on our website at iraepstein.com under education to learn what the term embedded means, getting oversold in it, and the first challenges of Bollinger Bands. It's no different than when you get up here in the bands or down here. This is where the pros were taking off money, in my opinion, today in the market. And it makes total sense. You know, we're only now 4 days away from knowing what the meeting is going to be and all the different speakers in Jackson Hole. It's going to be an interesting time. The gold-silver ratio, well, you're back up into an area that you failed from before. There should be some resistance on the climb to the upside. And silver has fallen back to the Bollinger Band, and it too is oversold. Not in a trend. It has a higher high, lower low, but a similar pattern. Each of the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row. Lower lows, not a higher high. There's a lot to be said about that. Then we get to the copper market, and I'm going to repeat. I have been telling you that I think copper is not the same as the other metals because of China.